You've heard the line your whole life, a boat is a hole in the water you throw money into. And for most boats out there, that's dead accurate. Walk down any marina on a Saturday, and you'll see the proof. Rows of shiny twin-engine motor yachts that bleed their owners dry every single season. New canvas, fresh electronics, 2 engines to feed, and a yard bill that shows up like clockwork. But there's a small corner of that same marina where the whole rule quietly falls apart. 3 trawlers that look like a $4 million yacht and run on the same kind of diesel that's been sitting in farm tractors for 50 years. The brokers will never walk you over to these on the lot. So I'm going to. But before we get to the first one, you need to understand the single rule that makes all 3 of them cheap, and it's not what you think. It comes down to how many engines are bolted to the floor, 2 or 1. That one choice decides whether the boat is a hobby or a second mortgage. A twin-engine boat looks safer on paper, and the salesman will tell you that all day long. What he won't tell you is the math. With 2 engines, you pay for 2 of everything. 2 sets of oil and filters, 2 raw water pumps, 2 transmissions, 2 of every hose and belt and impeller on the boat. When the yard hands you a service quote, you're paying it twice. The fuel dock is worse because a pair of engines burns close to half again as much diesel every hour you run, so you're staring down roughly double the maintenance and a fuel bill that's 50% fatter for as long as you own the thing. A full displacement trawler doesn't need 2. It moves slow on purpose, somewhere around 7 or 8 knots, and it gets there on one easy-going diesel turning low and lazy. No turbo spooling up, no second engine idling away, money you'll never get back. That single engine is the whole reason these boats cost almost nothing to keep. And it's the whole reason a retired couple can actually afford to live on the water, instead of just dreaming about it. Every boat I'm about to show you has exactly one. Keep that in your head while we walk the yard, because it's the difference between a retirement spent on the water and a retirement spent writing checks to a boatyard. Now let's start at the back row, past the sun-faded for sale signs, where the smart money has been parked for years. The first boat on the list is the one that looks like the most money and costs the least to get into. The Taiwanese Trawlers, Marine Trader, CHB, and a whole family of cousins built in the same Taiwan yards through the late 1970s and the 1980s. Step aboard one, and the first thing that hits you is the teak. It's everywhere. The handrails, the cabin sole, the trim, the cabinetry, all of it glowing varnished wood and polished brass portholes. From 10 feet away on the dock, it reads like a yacht that ought to carry a 6-figure sticker. Here's the gap. A solid 36 to 40 footer in this class runs somewhere around $40,000 to $70,000 for a good one. A tired one, a boat that needs work but floats fine, sells for less than a decent used pickup truck. And the reason it costs almost nothing to keep is sitting right down in the engine room. One diesel, usually a Ford Lehman or a Perkins, with enough room around it to walk a full circle. Naturally aspirated, all mechanical, nothing electronic on it to die on a Sunday night, 100 miles from a mechanic. You can stand next to that engine and put your hand on every part of it. The oil filter on a Lehman crosses over to a common Fram PH8A, the same filter that fits half the trucks built in this country. You buy it off the shelf for a few dollars. The spares you actually carry aboard are short and cheap. A couple of raw water impellers, a spare set of fuel filters, a lift pump or rebuild kit, and a length of hose to bypass a cooler if one ever lets go. That's a shoebox. That's the entire kit for a boat that looks like it should cost you a fortune. Now these boats have 2 catches. The teak needs cleaning and oiling, or it turns gray and cracks in the sun. And some hide black iron fuel tanks rusting from the inside after 40 years. Neither is a deal breaker, but it's exactly why you put a surveyor on the boat before you buy. But the boat I'd actually hand the keys to my own father is the next one, and it solves the wood problem completely. The second boat is the Grand Banks 36 Classic. If Trawlers had a Hall of Fame, this is the white hull beauty hanging on the wall by the door. They built these from the early 1970s clear into the 1990s. The ones you want are fiberglass, not the early wood hulls. That one word, fiberglass, matters more than anything else I will tell you today. It means the hull will not rot out from under you the way an old wooden boat can. People take these Grand Banks all the way around the Great Loop, 6,000 miles of rivers, lakes, and coastline, and bring them home ready to turn around and do the whole thing again. But the real heart of this boat is the engine, the Ford Lehman 120. And this is where I need you to really hear me, because this engine is the entire argument for the whole video. It was built off an industrial Ford block, the kind of motor designed to run a generator or a piece of farm equipment for decades without complaint. No turbo to blow, no sensors to chase down at the worst possible moment. Run it easy at trawler speed, and that engine is good for somewhere between 12,000 and 14,000 hours before it even thinks about a major overhaul. Stop and think about that. Nobody puts that many hours on a pleasure boat in one lifetime. There is a diesel man named Bob Smith who built his whole business around these engines and ran a school where regular boat owners, not mechanics, tore a Lehman all the way down to the bare block and bolted it back together over a single weekend. Then he fired it up. That tells you everything you need to know about how simple this motor is. You do not need a degree, and you do not need a dealer. You need a shop manual, a basic set of wrenches, and a free Saturday. There are only a handful of things on a Lehman that wear: the raw water pump, the coolant pump, the injection pump, and the exhaust elbow. That cast iron elbow rots from the inside out, so you pull it and check it every few years before it ever cooks the engine. Do those few things on schedule, and the motor outlives you. At cruising speed, she sips 2, maybe 3 gallons of diesel an hour. You can find a clean Grand Banks 36 somewhere in the $80,000 to $130,000 range, with upkeep running a few hundred a year if you turn the wrenches yourself. If this is the kind of straight talk nobody else gives you, hit that subscribe button. I put one of these out every week. Now let's get to the last boat, because if you're planning to do more than weekend on the water, this one hands you a real home. The third and last boat is the DeFever 40 to 44 feet, drawn up by people who understood that a retired couple does not want to spend the next 10 years crawling over each other. These were built as long-range cruisers from the start, so the whole layout is set up for living, not for a Saturday outing. You get a big galley with household-size appliances, a real walk-in engine room you can stand up straight inside, a proper stateroom with a real bed, and enough fuel tankage to run a long, long way between fill-ups. And here's why it belongs on this list. The good ones came with that very same single Ford Lehman. Same engine, same cheap parts, same farmer simple maintenance you just learned. The only difference is the room around it. On the DeFever, you can change your oil and check your belts, standing upright in that tall engine room instead of folded in half over a hot motor. Your knees and your back will thank you for that at 70 years old, and they will thank you again at 80. A good DeFever lands right around $100,000, give or take the year, and how well the last owner kept her. For that money, you get a boat that's a genuine floating house, one you could untie from the dock and live on full time, and one that holds its value, because the people who go hunting for a DeFever know exactly what they are looking at. They do not come up for sale often, and when they do, The right ones move fast. 3 boats now on the table, and every single one of them built around the same idea. 1 slow diesel, 1 simple system, and none of the complexity that turns a retirement dream into a second job spent chasing repair bills up and down the dock. Now let me give you the honest part. The part the broker walks right past while he's busy smiling at your wife and talking about sunsets. The engine on these boats is cheap. The boat is not free. Every year or 2 you haul it out of the water and paint the bottom, and that is real money. A slip at a marina is real money every month. And before you buy any boat on this list, you pay for a survey. A good marine surveyor charges a few hundred to crawl every inch of that hull, sound it out, check the engine, and hand you a written list of everything wrong with it. That few hundred is the best money you will ever spend, because it is the difference between buying a solid boat and buying somebody else's $50,000 mistake. This is the part I worry about for the folks watching who are about to retire. You walk into a boat show or a brokerage and somebody in a polo shirt steers you toward the shiny new twin-engine model with the financing brochure already printed. It has the glossy gel coat and that new boat smell, and it will quietly drain your savings for as long as you own it. Everything I've shown you today is the opposite of that. An older boat, 1 simple engine, a survey in your hand, and a price that leaves your retirement intact. The engine was never the thing that was going to break you. It is everything built around it to keep you locked out, and the salesman is counting on you never asking the question. So there are your 3. The Taiwanese trawler that looks like money and sells like a used truck. The Grand Banks that will outlast the man who buys it. And the DeFever you can untie and call home. 3 very different boats, but every single one of them runs on the same thing. 1 slow, simple diesel you can service yourself with a basic wrench and a part number off the shelf. That's the whole secret, and it's been hiding in plain sight the entire time. The folks tied up in the back row of the marina figured this out years ago. Now you have too.